Good evening, members. A warm welcome to one and all present. And we thank each one of you for joining for today's webinar on mental health awareness during the pandemic, a practical approach to stress management organized by the Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association. I would like to start the webinar on a quote given by Lord Buddha. He goes on to say, I quote, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection," unquote. Friends, at a time when we all are experiencing an unprecedented situation during the global COVID-19 pandemic, we thought this is the most appropriate time to organize a program on mental health awareness so that each and every member could get benefited out of it. The brain behind today's program, which could help all our members, was conceived by none other than our Honorable President of KSCA. He is a soft-spoken and erudite member of our profession who has been instrumental in our association organizing many good programs under his leadership. He keeps encouraging all of us for the betterment of our profession. Under his stewardship, KSCA has conducted last year's annual conference with a record participation of over more than 1,800 members. We are fortunate to have such a dynamic personality who is steering the objective of our association under his able leadership. I would now like to request the President of KSCA, Mr. Kumar Jigajinni, to kindly grace the occasion and address the members. Over to you, President, sir.
Thank you, Satish. Good evening, dear attendees. I welcome you all to this unique webinar by KSCA. On behalf of the team KSCA, I acknowledge and appreciate both the speakers, Dr. Sumati Chandrakant, founder Mind Cafe, and Dr. S. Chitra, General Secretary, UT Mind Cafe, for accepting our invite. We got feedback from many members that there is a need for guidance on this topic in these tough times. Thank you to the learned speakers. We were able to organize the webinar at right time. As a token of gesture to the profession and mankind, we have decided to keep it free for all. We have got overwhelming response from the members across the country, as many are attending from different regions across India. I would like to introduce our forum KSA in brief. KSA is formed in the year 1957, regularly conducts seminars, conferences, workshops, study circle meetings of professional interest for members. It represents concerns, issues, and suggestions of member CA fraternity and business to various government agencies and regulatories. In any association derives its value and power from the members associated with it. KSCA welcomes you to be a part of 3,200 plus strong tribe. Online registration link for the life membership can be found on the homepage of ksca.com. With this, I hand over to C. Satisham. Thank you and all.
Thank you, President, sir, for giving your insights about our association. Friends, we know that everyone as of today is grappling with many issues under the present circumstances, and we all need a relief and means to manage the mental state of affairs. Let us all try to remain calm and focused to tide over this crisis. As someone once said, the show must go on. Now that this is a show, but I appreciate your efforts to be together virtually. Today, to help us in understanding how to handle the mental stress or pressure in our day-to-day life, we have with us two eminent speakers who knows everything about mental behavior and how to handle them. So, without wasting much of time, let me start the introduction of today's speaker. Dr. Suchitra S. is a medical doctor with a UG degree of MBBS from Savita Medical College, Chennai. She then pursued her MSc in General Psychology from the University of Madras. She she did her internship as psychologist from Neha Foundation and pursued various certificate courses on cognitive behavioral therapy, solution-focused brief therapy, rational emotive behavioral therapy, etc., and many more to her credit. She is also trained in brain working recursive therapy, that is BWRT, from the Terence Watts Institute, United Kingdom. Presently, she is the founder of Insight Counseling Services, practicing as a counselor and psychologist, and also working as a counselor at Mind Cafe, where she got trained under Dr. Sumati Chandrasekharan, the other speaker of today's program. Earlier, she has also worked as a medical officer with Cherish Hospital and Kola Saraswati Agarwal Samaj Hospital. We welcome you, Doctor, for today's program. Our next speaker for today is Dr. Sumati Chandrasekharan, who is the founder of Neha Foundation, a center for self-development and psychological counseling at Chepauk, Chennai. She has a doctorate in developmental psychology, specialized in parental counseling and children behavioral problems. She has undergone a 2-year training course in advanced transactional analysis and intensive 2-week training on Adlerian psychology at Hiskirch, Switzerland. She is a practicing psychologist for the past 17 years and founder of Neha Foundation. She is a certified founder supervisor member of IAPS, Indian Academy of Professional Supervisors. She is a basic NLP practitioner certified by NFNLP USA and a certified happiness coach from Berkeley Institute, California. She is also a certified mindfulness coach from Aptitude, Mumbai. And she has provided counseling and psychotherapy for more than 6,000 clients and offering regular workshops at Happiness Life Skills and Parenting Skills for more than 20,000 participants and many more from such programs to her credit. Friends, she believes in creating a stress-free society wherein every person could gain access and affordable access to mental health services. She also strongly believes that a healthy family is an essential foundation for the success and personal growth of any individual. She established Yuvati, a NGO, whose primary aim is to promote social, emotional, and mental well-being among women and children. She conducts regular awareness campaign on mental well-being, monthly workshops, monthly mind camps, and other events that promote mind wellness of society. She believes that happiness matters and being a happy woman can create a happy family. She initiated a project called Mind Cafe, an innovative concept first time in India. This was to bring awareness on mind well-being and provide a proactive solution to our city's highest suicide rates in India. To her credit, the various awards and recognitions, she had presented a research poster on efficacy of chess on perceptual reasoning of children at International Conference of Fox Science at London, and presented various psychological inputs for other TV shows. She has given live interviews at various other psychosocial programs in YouTube channels as well. She was awarded with the Best Professional Psychologist in the year 2017 by Chennai Counselors Foundation, and she is also the proud recipient of Mahakavi Bharadiyar Seva Ratna Award in the year 2017, and there are many more laurels and awards and recognitions to her credit. With this brief introduction, may I now request the twin panelists come guest of today's evening to address our members with your presentation. Over to you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think you're audible. I'm audible. Thank you, Satish, for this long, very long introduction. It's not brief, actually. I want to stop you, but anyway, looking for the time. Thank you anyway. Thank you. So, can I go ahead?
Yes, yes.
The PowerPoint, yeah, I cannot see the PowerPoint here. Do
You
I
have
need
to share it
it
all again. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay. Okay, then I will do it.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. At the meantime, if members have any questions to be asked to the speakers, I would rather request each of the members to put in your questions in the Q&A section so that once the formal presentation is done, the speakers will address those questions. Thank you.
Yeah. So, hi, everybody. I could not see even the, not the faces that I don't know whether they've opened it. Anyhow, this is something just uncomfortable for me because I'm a people person. Anyway, I go ahead. Hi, everybody here. A very good evening to everyone here. It's a great pleasure for being here. The one reason is, I would say, when he said that it was founded in 1957, it has been more than 60 years. So this kind of a reputed association, I'm so glad that we are here, both of us, to share our knowledge here and benefit the people who are here, at least today, for today. So let me go ahead. So what we are going to see for today's session, maybe they're giving us 1 hour. We'll try our best to wind up in 1 hour and then we can go for the Q&A session. So I think all of us talk about stress. So everyone know what is stress, but still I've given a definition here, not according to medical dictionary, but a general way of looking at it. So you're going to see the causes why we are going to distress. And in that case, how is mind and body connected in this COVID, specifically in this coronavirus, pandemic, we see that how people are getting so panicky. And why is it like, this is a physical virus that's happening outside and how a body getting affected, but then mind plays an important role here. So how does it play an important role here? And then how does the mind affect your behavior? And then you're going to know how to identify that you are in stress, if sometimes, because most of us don't know when you're undergoing stress at all, and how to help your family members or your friends or colleagues if they are in stress. And of course, very important session, the practical techniques, because you have to go away with something, how to handle it. Though you have an understanding which empowers you, more than that, I think even the techniques matters here. So that I think Dr. Suchitra will take care. So now coming back to stress here, I just want to ask something. I cannot see the audience here. I think Satish will be giving me the inputs here. I want all the audience to be alert now. I'm going to ask you something. Right now, Satish, be aware. I'm going to ask a question to one of the participants. So Satish is going to choose them, because since I cannot see the participant from here, Satish will be choosing the participants. So one participant who's chosen will be, I'll be asking a question. Very, very, I won't say simple, but a question that you'd be able to answer at least, I know. So right now, Satish, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, so among the participants, since you have the tab, open there, I think you know all the participants' names. You're going to choose any one, right? Agree? Agree, Satish?
I need to check whether I have that rights to choose the participants in this WebEx platform.
Okay, maybe you can just, I don't know whether you could, maybe in sense you say that here in this platform, it is not it was not announced earlier, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I understand. But anyhow, thank you so much. We're not going to do that. I just want the feedback from participants right now. How was it the moment I said, so I'm going to give Satish this choice to choose one participant? What happened to your body? I want you to just, put in the chat box, how did your body react? Honestly. Was there, not everyone would have told the same answer. Some people are churning of the stomach, maybe thumping of your heart, maybe some sweating. So can you put in the chat box? Or you can unmute and can tell also, no issues. How was your body reacting with this stimuli? This was a stimuli. This was a trigger. This was something which came from outside. Is there any answer there in the chat box? I couldn't, I could see. But no one is answering, right?
No, we got a lot of responses. Satish sir, are you able to see?
No, I'm not able to see. Can you take the responses and brief, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah.
Many are of the opinion that became alert, uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is stress. That is stress. So I just want to give a feel of it. That's it. So you see that your stress is your body reaction to any challenge is faced or demand. So this is a traditional way of putting across stress. The next thing I've given here. It's a very traditional way where the founder of stress is given this always, and one of my favorite way of putting across. See, it's a conditional feeling that you experience, when you perceive, that is the main point here. It's not that it's an actual stress, because, not everyone today in this pan or sitting here as a participant will be experiencing any body reaction. They would have been calm also. They would be, okay, come on, let me face this. So what does it mean is you perceive means you only give an interpretation. You try to, give a meaning to it, because it could be something demanding over your resource. You can be, this kind of anxiety sets in because it is going overboard, because you're not able to face it or something. So you're not able to mobilize your resource. Okay, maybe not, someone said uncomfortable. So they only know what is better, uncomfortable is. So that I think makes sense, right? So the two things what I would say. There are people who commonly we say that, where does stress come from? Can anyone put in the chat box? Where do stress come from? I just want the feel of the people. How are you? I just want to see. Just put your random answers, and Satish could tell me what the.
Netravati says it's from the head.
Okay. Anyone else? Just a guess. I just want to see where you are, guys. That's it. So that I could, I could speak out and share it more with you. Anyone else? Giving the answers. It's not a question paper answer, right or wrong. Any answers? Any answers? Anyone answer given?
No, we have not received any other answer other than head.
Other than, okay, someone has given brain, I think so.
Stomach.
Okay. Good. Very good.
Stomach
so you see
churning.
that, this is all the physiological reactions happening. So what exactly we say, stress is internal. But in reality, if you see, there are both ways sometimes. That's why I've given you two things here. One is situation even by itself could be very stressful sometimes, where, you don't have control over it. For example, you are in the middle of the meeting, and suddenly you get a very serious phone call. You cannot leave the meeting. It's a very, very important one. And this side, something is really very stressful. That is really, it's a very, unavoidable. And but situation by itself is more stressful here. But the other one is the way you react when you're placed under some kind of situation where, vice versa, like, how you react, depending upon how you feel demanding for you. If you don't feel it demanding, then it doesn't be stress for you. So you see that two ways it is. When you don't feel, you're not able to cope up. So only when your coping strategies are not fine enough tuned, and then you may go under stress. Okay. So we're going to see in detail more about this so that you have more clarity also. So what causes stress exactly? I think all of us know this. When there's a pressure, when you're working under pressure, like deadline, like some commitment that you have to, something like that, then naturally you go under stress. And of course, changes when you go for a new job or a new house or anything else, whatever. Some big changes naturally you go under stress. And whenever you perceive that a situation is under control, when you feel that the situation is going haywire, then you may undergo stress. And of course, responsibility, all of us know that when it's overwhelming, when you be a person who you hold the power and you are responsible and you have commitment, and then somewhere you're more liable to go under stress than people who believe that they're not responsible. And more than that, when you're not having any work, you're idle. Not everyone, again. People who are not having engaged in any activities and there's nothing to change. Like, for example, now I think Corona sometimes, you are locked down and there's nothing to be active at all, and then they become stressed also. Oh my God, what is this? And times of uncertainty, of course, I think all of us know that what is happening right now, the pandemic. So where people who have an uncertain personality, that is what I mean by that is a personality who are very uncomfortable with uncertainty. For example, you see people when they go to function or any kind of agenda, they have a meet, they would want to know everything in detail to minute, like what time it starts, what time it ends, everything, to be very clear about, what is happening, to be everything in control. So these people are people who are very comfortable only in certainty. Because everything is certain for them, then they are very comfortable. The moment something is uncertain, they become the panicky or the anxious. That is what is given here. So now what Exactly. Though these are the things, all the factors we have put across here, but what factors makes it different? How does it make a difference here? Because not all people succumb to uncertainty, if you see. So here we see that these are very important factors. One is your perception. So of course, I think all of us know we perceive through 5 senses. We give, we put the input of what is going on around the world, the environment by 5 senses. We choose everything by our 5 senses only. I think all of us know the 5 senses. So through that only we perceive and we give information to the brain. The brain doesn't know anything. Brain is an organ, just like what? Your heart or your thyroid gland or whatever. But through the 5 senses only you give information. So how you perceive matters based upon your past experience, your personality, your genetic loading, everything. Okay. The next one is again a past experience where people who have a tendency for being more anxious, as they're growing up. So these people also have more tendency to land up in stress. And of course, emotional resilience. Person who build up emotional resilience, have the tendency of have the managing stress. I mean, the sense managing emotions. There are people, how to know how to manage in the sense balance the emotions. When and where. Like for example, anger is an emotion, but they are in control where they know when to express and when not to express it at the right time. That is what we call it emotional resilience. And the pressure that they have towards them. Suppose they have already some other pressure and this happens, stress, stress add on it naturally. Nothing is there and suddenly only one thing comes, I think they'll be able to handle. And the support, of course, I think we all know that we need support apart from what we are going inside, where we support ourselves. Apart from that, we need some external social support. We are social animal, of course, we need that. So depending upon this also, the kind of how we land up in being stressful is being determined. And now coming to the mind and body mechanism. So I'm just going to give a glimpse of, I'm not going to go into depth. I'm just at least going to give a simplified version for you. Maybe you look like as if sitting in a biology class right now. I'm so sorry for that. But anyhow, I make it more simple. How do this in pandemic, even your dear ones or even you, if you are, all of us undergoing this coronavirus, infection, whether I would get or not, whatever. I think in Bangalore also same, similar like Chennai, I think so. Right, Satish? It's the same similar situation?
Yeah, Bangalore is a lot more worse than Chennai.
Lot more. Oh my God. So what I'm trying to make you understand is how are you facilitating or worsening this physical infection through your mind? That's why I'm giving this part. How mind plays a role here. So if you understand this will make more sense for you later on to help yourself and others also. So exactly, maybe I would like to interact with you, but since of time constraint, I think I would just move on. Mind is like, I think all of us know it's an intellectual faculty where it means that, we are the human beings, we are blessed with the imagination. So when you say the mind is the one who can imagine vividly, it's unlimited. You can, and it is more about memory, it's more about decision making, problem solving, attention, all that is the mind part, which is intellectual faculty, we call it as and more important, mind is the function of the brain. If you see the physical organ is the brain in our body. The function of it, all that happens in the brain is being impressed in the mind, and whatever you impress in your mind through the 5 senses also gets impressed in the brain. So both vice versa. Okay. As you say, many people tell mind is in here only. But in fact, I would say mind is everywhere. In fact, I would also say that mind is extended beyond your physical body, which means that mind is in every cell of your body. More than that, I would say mind is also observed as an electromagnetic field surrounding your body. So when I say beliefs, I think all of us know in mind, through our mind, we start believing things based upon the thought process. When we have a thought, suppose my friend is, I can't believe my friend. For example, you have a thought like this. You keep on repeating it, become a belief. That is belief. Okay. So it's so hard to identify a belief. But the more, the kind of belief that you hold on, it affects you as well as the world around you. Now, I'll just give a simplified way how this, when the coronavirus, Suppose you have a trigger from outside. Someone talks about a death about someone, or someone talks about that they have corona, or you yourself getting corona, whatever. That is the trigger. So I put here as, not me, it's given by someone, I couldn't get the name. You see that psychosocial stress or health issue. So here we say, someone is given a kind of a trigger. They call and tell you the phone. Oh my God, my uncle died, just 40 years. He called me, say, oh, just 25 years. And this would be a trigger now. Now, how do your brain process it? Now that matters here. Suppose, as I told you earlier, the brain is inside. Now, it is you are perceiving it. The moment that you got the trigger from outside, what do you tell to yourself? It's a fast process, just in a millisecond process. Immediately what happens, now the brain feels threatened. Only when the brain perceives is a threatening stimuli, in the sense, this is a dangerous one. Intrinsically, this is danger because it's life-threatening. But it is the mediator. The mind is a mediator here. It is how that moment, what are you doing to that information? So what happens, the brain perceives it as a threatening stimuli, and therefore your body goes into a stressful situation where it triggers. If you see the mediator, you can see the loop here. From the brain, you can see that it sends a signal to the, from there, signal to the adrenal, that is called the adrenal gland, which is on top of the kidney, where the cortisol, which is stress hormone. Generally, whenever we undergo stress, that is, when I say undergo stress, what does it mean? That is, you perceive that you are in danger. Okay. It is a situation, but which is intrinsically dangerous. Yes, we'll be in fear. But again, there is a way that how we react or respond. If we react, we may go in fear. But if you're going to respond, you can go in awareness. That's the difference here. But initially what happens is, this cortisol gets secreted here. You see the cortisol here. Adrenaline and cortisol, those are hormones. So the moment the mind perceives that there is a problem, it triggers the physiology of the body. See how it is connected now, the mind and your body. And then what happens, it has a connection with the immunity system also. Vice versa, again, it goes to the brain, forms a loop where the stress hormone cortisol is the culprit here. Because it is actually good when you are in a minimal stress, which we call it as use stress or positive stress. It is useful. But when it is excessively pumped, what happened? Immediately it goes into the flight and fight and freeze mode. Where is it? In the brain. This cortisol goes and slows down the frontal part. What we call the frontal part is the thinking brain. Thinking brain is the conscious brain, which is only 8 to 10% under your control, where you have thinking faculty. Remember, we have the executive also, taking action. So that part slows down because of the cortisol, which has been secreted. And then the emotional brain, that is we call the mid part limbic system, we call it as emotional brain. The emotional brain becomes active. So what happens, the thinking brain will shut down slowly. The emotion brain becomes, which is called as amygdala. See, this amygdala is very crucial here. This is the fear part. Okay. And you see that immediately that become active, and near that hippocampus, one part which is memory part. So even the memory, the hippocampus also becomes, slows down. Now you see that sometimes, when it happens, when you're reacting, when something happens, what happens? You don't remember even the good things about, like, a doctor, very nice doctor, you can't refer also. Like a nice, very important information, you forget it completely. So this is the reason. Because this cortisol goes and brings the structural changes, goes and stimulates the emotional part of the brain. That is the amygdala and the hippocampus. So this is how you see that, how the physiology, again, it forms a loop and keeps on continuing. And then, for example, I would give a citation. In one of the study, they have found that very clearly, when a person is in depression and anxiety, there is a decrease in the hippocampus and increase, in the amygdala. So you see there are structural changes happening in the brain depending upon how you react. So you see how the brain, the moment reacts, it has an impact on all the endocrine glands in your body. So you see that constantly in your life, you are sending messages to each cell of your body. In the sense, in more, I would say that each cell of your body is listening to your mind and what your mind is saying. Most of the time that you're not aware of it. That is the problem. Because most time you're not aware what the mind is chatting inside, what the conversation going on inside. Only when you're conscious, we are aware of it. So I think that would explain to you neurobiologically how the body and mind are connected and how you see that, how you play an important role, the attitude and everything, plays an important role. So here I'm going to give an activity for you, all of you all. I hope you have a paper and pen so that will be useful for you. A simple model for everyone to hear. See a situation, for example, let us take Corona, or maybe suppose someone is criticizing you at work. This is a situation in an office, in a workplace. Your boss is coming criticizing, even in spite of doing nice work. So the thought that comes to you, not necessarily I'm not good enough. It could come like, oh my God, why this man is like this? Why is he always finding fault with me? It is about others. But what about yourself? What do you say about you? You may not be aware, but your thought pattern will be there. I think I'm not able to do properly. Maybe I'm not good enough. Or maybe I'm not very good in this. Maybe I'm wrong. Something is wrong with me. Like that. So you have a thought immediately coming very spontaneous without your awareness also, which you call it as reactive. So you see the circle there. Based on your thoughts, you have the emotions. So the moment you have a negative, that is an unhelpful thought, you won't say negative, positive. Nothing is negative, positive here. It's whether it is supportive, it is unhelpful or helpful. So here it is unhelpful naturally, because the boss is criticizing because his expectation is very high, or maybe he is also under stress where he's using unnecessary words. So it is his job to keep his, his humanity, whatever. So the emotions could be here, angry, even you can get angry also. Why is coming at the back of me like this, nagging? Or you can be anxious, so the feelings change, the emotion changes. And then depending on the emotion, your behavior is decided. So if you are anger, you may retort back. But if you are feeling very sad, suppose, you will never answer back, you just be calm. Or you may just happen, you just ignore. Oh yeah, this man doesn't have any work at all. So if you see that behavior, and then you see the body reactions also, how it happens. Both happen simultaneously. That's why given a plus sign here. If you see here the plus sign, emotions as well as the physical reaction. Because as I told you already, we have two parts in your brain, that is the conscious and the subconscious, or we call it as a thinking brain or the feeling brain. I think the feeling brain is your body part. As you told right now, all the endocrine glands, gets affected. You see, all the hormones get secreted in the body only. So every of your emotions since your childhood of, even a zero, even the womb, when you are fearful, when you are very anxious, you see the kind of hormones secreted. Where are they circulating? They are circulating in your body only. So what happens? They all get accumulated. So the body that right now you are having is nothing. It's full of, the emotions and the chemicals, that have been released. It's a collection of that. And that's why some people are more prone to anxiety. In this COVID situation, there are people who are aware, not fearful. That makes a difference here. So you see again then, based on the physical reactions, as the heart is thumping, suppose your stomach is churning, again you say, oh my God, I'm not able to do this. Oh my God, what happens? It comes back again. So you see a loop is formed like this, and slowly your confidence goes away. Only when you stop at the thought level or the feeling, you become aware. Otherwise, without your awareness, this chain will keep on going. So I want you to I'll give you 2 minutes time. Choose an incident, all of y'all, which happened recently. Just imagine, if you want, you can close your eyes because that'd be better. Close your eyes and bring a white screen in front of you, just like a TV, white screen. I want you to replay the situation again. Just now notice that same incident when you're replaying it in detail. Notice how you're reacting. Now, as a third person, don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself. Please don't judge. Be very compassionate. Okay? Just see how you're reacting. Where was your attention? Was it in the thought level or in the emotion? The way you felt. Or where was your mind? Was it in the present moment? Was it wandering? Just observe. Don't judge. And just note down, did you start taking action? How did you did you react or respond? So how was your action? Was it based on your thinking or was it based on the way you felt? Just for an awareness. I really wanted that. Maybe you can ask doubts maybe after this in this process, about this activity later on. So now coming to the, how do you know whether you are under stress or even your fathers are under stress? So this is something is very common. You feel tired, sometimes there'll be sleep disruption. There are a lot of clients who come to me telling, I could not sleep. They would not know, the stress is building up in them. Because if you're not really stressed up, the real important thing is you will sleep very well. You sleep and get up suddenly in the morning. That's it. Nothing else in the between. That is all you sleep. Maybe once in a while you may, roll down. And in energy can be going down. Energy be low. And even the frequent infection. Okay, if you're under stress, you may land up in kind of, cold will be often for you. And most important, the digestive issues. I told you, remember, when you're under stress, what happens? Your stress and flight mode, which is the emotional brain, the amygdala, that gets heightened, right? So what happens? Either you fight with the situation, or either you try to run away, or either you freeze. That is, you wait for situation to change. You don't take any action. These are three things people generally do when anything is something very unfavorable for them. That is what generally. But three are not the right way, because these three are very, which has to be done only in danger. But right now we are not in danger in the sense we're not in the jungle or something. We are safe. Like though in Corona, we are, by God's grace, we are having people available for us to take care, or we can take some precautions. Okay. So these three are not the right way. So what is the fourth way? As I told you, in awareness, when you are, instead of fear, only in fear, these three strategies. You always fight with people or with the situation. Keep on fighting. You want to have a tug of war, like. And that is the reason we land up having all this problem, physical issues. So you can check and see also in your life, in a relationship, or in a workplace, or in any problem, in a financial problem, or in a job, or or anything. You see that you're fighting with it. You want it to happen. You want to make it happen. So you're fighting with it, and that could also be a stressor. Or sometimes you avoid. You go for cigarette smoking, or maybe go for drug abuse, or you may land up in liquor, whatever, illicit kind of thing, watching videos or something. So you see all this avoidance behavior. And the third one is freeze. There are people who sometimes doesn't take any action. They just wait for something to happen. They'll say, good will happen for me. Good will happen for me. So you see that when this mode is often keep on, like you keep on your system always in the like alert mode. Just imagine, all the cortisol, what happens, the blood will flow towards the muscle of the body to prepare you to run and fight, rather than going to the heart muscle or your stomach where you have to digest. So it minimizes there. And that's the reason you get digestion problem. I think that you have to understand. And headache, I told you, the blood flows, lessens there. It doesn't flow to the head here. So that's why we get headache. That's the reason. And also the pain, the inflammation. It sets in the inflammation, the cortisol. So what happens? You get aches and pains. A lot of people are, you can be aware, I think. They'll say, I have earache, I have this ache, all that. And of course, heartbeat, if they be rapid or increased heart rate. And that is a physiological one, which I told you. This is a behavioral, I think all of you all know. These people don't take time for relaxing. They don't take care of themselves. They won't be involved in the pleasurable activities. That is what you can see. You can observe them, these people. And they are more prone to accidents. They hit in the home itself. You see, they fall down. They hit in the door. Somewhere they get cracked. All that can happen. And the forgetfulness of it. And of course, I told you smoking, caffeine, all that. And they become a workaholic. Some people, because they want to avoid stress at home or any other place, they become a workaholic. They keep on working. And of course, time management will be very poor for them. And they don't Not always, I think not everyone, but if you see sometimes they'll end up in not taking care of grooming themselves, and also social withdrawal, not being socializing, and insomnia, which is the lack of sleep. I'm going a little faster, sorry to say this. And then, of course, at psychological, I think you can go through all of you. This is something which all of you, like, irritability is one of it. Very important sign. If a family member in you, I think you can watch them, or a friend or a colleague, suddenly they are getting irritated for everything. They may be, they shout at you, or they're not able to take a decision very easily. And, they're very distracted. They're not able to focus also. That is more important for the frontal, the prefrontal cortex, we call it as a. And they're not motivated. Sometimes they feel lethargic, all that, and overthinking. Very important. These people are very overthinking, and there are mood swings also. So, and another thing is, I think they feel out of control. So these are psychological. You can identify also. So now, what we do is how to help someone. So this is the last one, I think so, because Suchi will be coming next. Yeah. So how do you help? The first thing I will tell you something. Now you know all the triggers. Now you know that even you'll be in a, I mean, if we had a time they have told about stressors, you'll be able to identify what are your stressors. I think all of us know this. When someone talks something critical about you, when someone points out something wrong with you, you know very well you get stressed. Something which you know the water stressor, or maybe you will know that if there is a deadline, I become stressed. Or if I'm not very clear about something, I become stressed. So you must be able to identify what makes you to stress so that you can work on your thought pattern. You can look into your beliefs, what beliefs I'm holding on. Then you can work on that also. Otherwise, like you can be as I showed you the model of that pattern, no? You can work on your, how do I change my emotions by changing my thought pattern. That is, you can work on. So now the last one here, I would say, how do you help someone? The most important, I will tell you honestly, listen to them without judgment. When someone in your home, at your home, you know very well, suppose your mother or your brother or your colleague are panicky or very fearful, listen to them, not the words. When you're speaking some words, it's not about words, being with them. You may say, oh my God, why you're so panicky for silly things? Why? Don't talk like that. That is really cutting off. And, you cannot connect with them at all. So it's very important when your family members, anyone, please be with them. Just listen to them more than the words. And ask, you can reflect. How do you reflect? You can just repeat what they're saying. Like, for example, they say, I'm getting very scary when, I got a news that my cousin passed away. So you cannot say, oh my God, don't think like that, be positive. No, you cannot say that. You can just say, okay, you mean to say that even the dear ones, even a cousin has passed away, somewhere it's sending a panic button for you, telling that, okay, what happens to our family also? That is what you're thinking, right? So you are reflecting back exactly what they are undergoing. That is how you can be a mirror for them. And that really helps them a lot, because they feel connected, they feel more soothing. That is what you can do, rather than trying to comfort them, rushing to comfort them. That is not what they want. They know how to comfort, but they want a person to hear first of all. And then you can reassure them, telling that this is going to be temporary, going to pass there. And more importantly, you can help them to identify the triggers. Then you can tell them, Mama, like, I think when you see the TV only, or when you hear the thing, I think that is why you're getting sometime, maybe. Is it so? Check with them. And then ask them to minimize the triggers. Okay. And more importantly, the inner resource. How do you help them to mobilize the inner resource? For example, you can ask your, suppose your brother is very tensed and you want to strengthen them. So you can tell your brother, you were a leader in the football team. You were leading, or you were good in painting. How do you do that? How did you make it happen? So you can help them to identify how they came from. So make them to shift from the helpless mode to a very confident mode. And that is how we can always facilitate, rather than advising them. Never advise. That is what, because they know everything. But no advice is here. And of course, the last one, I think, the relaxation what Dr. Chitra will be giving, which you can take in and you can give them also. So I hope Chitra can take over.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think, a lot of people are already aware of certain things, and I'm seeing messages on the chat box. And, I think ma'am has spoken so far about how stress happens. Even though there are external situations, somewhere our thoughts and feelings are, more related to how we are reacting or dealing with certain situations. So that's what this slide is about. I want to start by saying that, stressful situations are going to be there. Like COVID second wave is there, and now I'm getting WhatsApp messages saying there's going to be a third wave as well.
Yes.
And you being accountants are going to always have a client who is going to come in the last minute and, want you to file their taxes or, tally their accounts. So that's always going to be there. But stress is always a choice, right? And the choices that you make for taking care of yourself is going to definitely help you deal with it and cope with it better. So ma'am spoke about cortisol being the stress hormone. And I want to talk about the happy hormones that are there in our body. So not all hormones are bad. Here we have dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, and oxytocin. So these are all hormones that make us feel good. And, dopamine is called the reward hormone. Serotonin is the mood stabilizer. Oxytocin is the love hormone. And endorphin is the energy booster. Okay. So some of you may already be aware of all these things. But today I'm going to talk only about serotonin and how we can raise the serotonin in our body, because serotonin is stabilizing the mood for us. So serotonin is going to keep us in the balance instead of going into either anxious mode or to the withdrawn and, sad mode. So serotonin is, even though it's a neurotransmitter, a brain chemical, it is majorly produced in the gut as in our intestines. And this is produced with the help of the gut bacteria. So we all know that there are healthy bacteria in the gut, which are, aiding in digestion, but it's something extra that they are doing is they are helping convert an amino acid called tryptophan. So tryptophan is like a part of a protein which is converted into serotonin by the gut bacteria. Okay, so the gut and the brain are always related. Okay, so happy gut is equal to a happy brain, a happy person. So how can we increase this, tryptophan and the good bacteria in the gut so that more serotonin is produced, right? So I've mentioned here that some of the food sources that contain tryptophan. So they are salmon or other fatty fish, nuts, seeds, eggs, poultry, dairy products, soya bean, all right? So there is actually a new field called nutritional psychiatry, which actually talks exclusively about nutrition and how it affects brain. So they have a lot of research that's happening. It's a very upcoming new field, in fact. And they are telling that, how we eat, what we eat has a big impact on how we feel, right? So this is the sources for tryptophan. So what are the sources for improving gut bacteria? So we all know that curd and things like that, fermented food helps us improve the good bacteria in the gut. So that is the pre and the probiotics. So probiotic is actually the bacteria, good bacteria, and the prebiotic is substances that help the good bacteria to grow, right? So things like rice, onions, banana, all these are prebiotics. And probiotics include all of this, curd and, dairy products and all that, okay? Apart from that, vitamin D also plays an important role in how we process the serotonin and produce it. So cod liver oil and other sources of vitamin D are also very helpful in improving the gut health, which in turn improves the mood. All right. So things to avoid. So what actually causes lessening of serotonin is caffeine, artificial sweeteners, and processed food. I'm so sorry, someone's at the door. I'm moving to open the door. I'll continue to speak. Okay. So we all think that these diet sodas and things are good. Juices with less sugar and yogurt with without sugar and all that, but they're all processed and contain artificial sweeteners which actually damage your gut bacteria and everything that is actually necessary for your serotonin production. So moving on. how can you jumpstart your serotonin apart from eating healthy? Eating healthy is something that shouldn't be discounted, but apart from that, what can we do? So exposure to sunlight. So like I said, vitamin D is important, and vitamin D, we all know that it's got from sunlight. So sunlight, you might ask me, like right now parks are closed, where do I go get sunlight? Well, you can, go up to your terrace, stand in your balcony, or even open your windows wider, draw your curtains open. Okay, that is also sunlight exposure. And you might see that I haven't mentioned sleep so far, because when you have serotonin, you automatically get good sleep as well. And exposing yourself to the sun in the morning actually improves melatonin, which brings you sleep at night after sunset. Okay, so I may not have mentioned sleep anywhere, but that automatically happens when we are doing all of this. All right. Another thing to jumpstart your serotonin is physical activity. So even if it is a 15-minute walk or something in your terrace, a quick, Surya Namaskar of, 6 rounds, that's more than enough. And then we have, ma'am, you can move the, yeah. So ma'am spoke a lot about, positive self-talk, how we, change our thoughts, change our feelings. That is also going to help, increase your serotonin production. And then there is meditation and mindfulness. So taking time for yourself to be with your thoughts, that is also going to help. And spending time with loved ones. So we might think, we are busy at work, working from home. There is no boundary as to where home ends and office begins. And, sometimes our loved ones are actually feeling like they're locked up in a room. It's like office phone up, it was better. Now that you're home, you're at office the whole time. So, when we make small changes like this, so these are changes that will take, you like 10, 15 minutes a day, but it is going to, in the long run, have a big impact on how you feel. So, what are the therapies and techniques that are there to relax apart from, these lifestyle changes? What we spoke so far were lifestyle changes. Apart from that, what are the techniques? So I'm going to show you a demonstration of a couple of techniques that are mind related, and we're going to have something that is body related, because when we relax our body, mind is also relaxed. When we relax our mind, body is also relaxed. So that's the body mind connection we spoke about, right? And then we'll move on to therapies. So let's move on to techniques first. So I'll do a demo now. This is going to be a very small technique that can be done anytime. All right. Irrespective of place, time, how long you have. So I think, all of you can, take a moment to sit comfortably. And right now we are not in any stressor, but if we were to be stressed right now, yeah, like ma'am said, if I'm going to pick someone here to, give me a summation of everything that has happened so far, okay, that would immediately put all of our attention, bring all of our backs up, right? So if there were a small stressor like that, maybe there's an annoying phone call as you're attending the session. Maybe someone was at the door, like for me, okay. So in that moment, in any stressful moment, you just remember to stop, okay? Stop, the word, the acronym is the whole activity. So we're going to stop and take a breath. Take a deep breath. And taking a breath should always expand our abdomen, right? So because the breath is going into our lungs, and then it's pushing the diaphragm down so that the abdomen comes out. That is the proper way of breathing. So take a breath and just observe yourself, the situation, and then proceed. So if we were to do this in a stressful situation, when there is a traffic jam, or when there is a news on TV about a lockdown, or when a client rushes in at last minute, just doing this will get your perspectives right. And when you proceed, your action will definitely be slightly different than how would it have been before taking that breath. All right. So that was a breath technique, and it takes hardly a minute to do. All right. Next, we are moving on to a technique where we are engaging our 5 senses to be in the moment. Because when we are in the moment, we are going to be more conscious and be more logical in how we react, respond. So instead of reacting to a situation from an emotional perspective, we will be able to respond in a way that is more conducive and nicer for us too, right? So this is called a 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It's a coping technique for stress, for anxiety. And it also brings in an element of mindfulness where we can stay in the present. So all of you now, just look around you and name 5 things that you see around yourself. So as you name, no judgment, just quickly name. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this fan is slow, the chair is dirty. No, just name it. And then 4 things that you can touch around you. It can be your clothes, it can be the table, it can be your laptop keys. Yeah? Once you're done with that, hear 3 things. So acknowledge 3 things that you can hear. You can close your eyes to have a more nicer perception of the sounds. So once you're done with hearing, you move on to smell. Is there any smell? It may not always be there, but maybe there is a room freshener, maybe your perfume or deodorant, maybe there is a agarbatti somewhere nearby, or maybe you like lighting candles, if someone at home has lit a scented candle. Yeah? Or you can even have something that you like to smell, and you can take a whiff of that. If there's a lemon or an orange, you have, you smell it, you're going to get that citrusy flavor. Citrusy smell. Okay. And finally, one thing that you can taste. Again, this may not always be possible. You can do the see, touch, and hear all the time, but smell and taste is, depends on where you are. If you have a mint or something nearby, you can pop it in your mouth and see how it feels. Okay. So once you're done with experiencing the moment with all your 5 senses, can someone tell on the chat box, how it felt? Where is your mind right now? In the present, I can see. I can see one message saying in the present. So I think most of you felt present. Yeah.
Yeah, someone was given blank. That shows that there is absence of thoughts. Good.
Yeah, blank, composed, in the present. Yeah, right. So that's the aim of this technique. So this again can be done anywhere, anytime. Okay, no one needs to even know that you're doing this. Yeah. So I've come up with another technique. This is called the freeze technique. It is going to take a little bit more time. Do we have time? Can I do this, or shall we?
Yes, ma'am, we do have time.
Okay. Okay. So the freeze technique is, the next 2 techniques are going to take you a little more time. It cannot be instantly done. You need to have a calm place and, sit down and do. So I'd like all of you to, sit back, relax. You can even close your eyes. Now I want you to recognize or come up with any recent situation that was stressful. Okay, it may not be huge, it can be something small also. I think if we think of the news itself, we'll all have the thing. Think of the news channel or newspaper, you will get there, right? Okay, the first step is to pause and see it. Okay, so with your eyes closed, just take the time to visualize that situation and then pause it. Okay, like pausing a DVD player so that the image is just frozen. Okay, so the stressful image is just frozen for you now. Now take a deep breath and make a sincere effort to focus away from all the racing thoughts in your mind to yourself, inside yourself. Just focus on your heart right now. Your heart is beating. And just imagine like, you're breathing into your heart. Each breath you take is going through your heart and coming out from there. Keep focusing on your heart and breathing through it. Now, as you're doing that, we're now going to recall something positive. An image or a situation which was positive, which gave a nice feeling. There's something that happened in your life. And I want you to re-experience this image. It can be an image, it can be like a scenario, a video. And instead of focusing only on that image, focus on the feeling there. So how were you feeling at that time? How did your body feel? Was it lighter? Was it calmer? And just stay with that positive emotion. Okay, bring that positive emotion to the right now. Breathe, continue to breathe with the positive emotion. Now, using your intuition and the frontal brain, which is logical, which has what we call the common sense, and ask your heart, what would be a more efficient response to the situation that you froze in the beginning, that you paused? Okay. And what response will minimize future stress? Stay with your heart and listen to what your heart says in answer to your question. And you can slowly breathe again. Come back by feeling where you're sitting, feeling your feet resting on the floor. Just come back to the present and you can slowly open your eyes. So any comments on how this felt? Were you able to follow through? I know this is longer and requires more work than the other two. Felt good. I can see a comment. Good, great. That's nice. Was there a shift in, your perception of the stressful situation? I hear, okay, I can see unique tips and immediate result. Yeah, that's, how See how strong imagination and an image can be, right? So our brain can just conjure up an image and bring that feeling to the right now. So that's how powerful the mind is, right? I can see more peaceful and one more peaceful. Nice. So this will take you a bit more time, maybe 5 minutes. If you want to stay with it longer, great, you can stay with it longer. Felt calm, it was wonderful. Shift was there. Okay. Okay, Sumati ma'am says it looks like the BWRT method. Right. Yeah. So, all right. So now we saw techniques where we are using the mind. Okay. So we used breath, we used five senses, then we used the mind to conjure up a good positive image and, shift that emotion to the now. So next I'm going to share something to do with the body. Because stress is felt more in the body, tensing of shoulder or, having pains when you wake up in the morning and feeling like really beat, like someone hit you with something when you go to bed in the night, right? So those are all the muscles tensing up. Like ma'am said, cortisol is gone and gone to all the muscles, and all the muscles are like geared up to fight, right? So, but there's nothing to fight. You cannot punch your problem, you cannot run away from it. So all the tension is still there in the muscles. So this quick body scan technique. Body scan is generally a long process. Some of you who know yoga might know it as yoga nidra or, the corpse pose and all that we call it, right? So that's a long process, but we are going to do it quickly by means of this acronym CALM. So just remember CALM, okay? So again, I need you to join me in this, okay? The more you experience it, the more you will, be able to apply it later on. So when you think of CALM, we're going to start with the chest and move down to the arms, legs, and mouth finally, okay? So take a breath. You can sit straight, good posture. Okay? Good posture as in spine erect without any stress on the neck and the head. Yeah. And just take a breath in. Again, breathing needs to be from the belly. And belly should expand out when you're breathing. So after a few breaths, bring your awareness to your chest and your abdomen area. So just scan this area as you're breathing, open and lift. Feel your chest creating room for the expansion of your lungs. Feel your belly expanding out with your breath. So just bring your awareness to any sensation that you have there. There doesn't have to be judgment, just notice. Is your breath deep and easy? Or is it short and shallow? So just maybe regulate your breath. If it's short and shallow, try to breathe easier. Check your heart. Check your heartbeat. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is there a tightness in your chest? And as you're breathing, allow your chest to expand and release any tension that is there. And lastly, tighten all the muscles through your chest and torso. Like, when you make a fist, you're tightening the muscles in your hands. Similarly, when you tighten, draw in your stomach and, hold your breath and just squeeze your chest. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. And allow all your muscles to go lax and relax. Feel any residual tension that was there just floating away. Now shift your awareness into your arms, from your shoulders till your fingertips. Lift your shoulders towards your ears, like shrugging, and let it fall. Let it fall completely, and your arms are just lying in your lap. Now scan your awareness upwards from your hands, up to your forearms, upper arms, and shoulder. Is there any sensation? Is it completely relaxed? Are you holding your hand in a fist maybe? So just breathe and release it slowly. Is your hand feeling cold? Is it sweaty? Just notice. And finally, squeeze your fist, tense your forearms, tense your arms and your shoulder, hold it really tight like that. And then let it go completely. Relax completely. Continue to enjoying the relaxation in your arms. Every muscle in your arm, in your chest and your torso, your abdomen is completely relaxed now. Moving on to the legs. Direct your attention down to your legs, from your hips till your toes. Again, scan your hips, thighs, calf muscles, and feet. Your legs are restless, shaking, maybe they are tensed. Just notice if your legs are trying to say something, like I need rest or help me relax. Just notice, allow yourself to feel what is there. And again, gently begin to curl your toes, contract your calf muscles, your thigh muscles, your glutes, and the muscles around your hip. Just hold it all tight for 1, 2, 3. Feel the tension and completely release. You can feel all the tension flowing out of your legs. Now for the last acronym, mouth, CALM. So shift your awareness to your mouth and face. Without being aware, you might have been holding your jaw tight, clenching your teeth. Just notice that. Again, what is your mouth and your facial muscles trying to communicate to you? Just stay with any sensation that is there around your mouth, your facial muscles, your neck. Now clench your mouth and other muscles around it, like clench your mouth as in your jaw. Bite your teeth together, squeeze your eyes shut, and just hold all the muscles in one. The contracted anger face that we have, hold it like that for 3, 2, 1. Feel the tension and completely let go. Release it. Feel the muscles around your eyes softening. The facial muscles are lax. Your jaw is completely relaxed. Just stay with the sensation of being relaxed completely from your face till your feet. Continue to take a couple more breaths. Then slowly come back to the now. You can open your eyes slowly when you're ready. All right. So I think most of you are back now. You can continue to tell me how that felt. We are running short of time, so I'm quickly going to run through the last slide, but you can answer on the chat as to how that felt. Okay, I'll come back to that. So finally, we spoke about all the techniques for relaxation. That can be breath, about the senses, about thoughts, and about the body. Okay, and there are therapies as well for people who, like some sort of external thing to add on to the relaxation. All right. So a lot of people go for aromatherapy, massages, because again, when you have a massage and release all the tension from your body, your mind is as relaxed as well. So you could see over here how there's essential oils, acupuncture, a lot of alternate therapies. There is so much. There is sound therapy, there is music therapy, there is, art test therapy, so many things. Okay. Apart from that, where we come in as psychologists is for talk therapy. So as you can see there. So again, talk therapy is, there are various things. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, there is solution focused therapy, there is, there are so many things, and even BWRT, which, ma'am just mentioned. So it totally depends on how you want to handle it and choose what is best for you. Right? So not everyone can practice everything that we mentioned today. So pick what you can schedule into your day, and being consistent is very important. So however busy we are, doing these things actually is a form of self-care, and it is going to help you be more efficient at work, be more available for your family and yourself. So I'd like to end by saying busy is a choice, stress is a choice, and joy is also a choice. So choose well. And thank you so much for Karnataka State CA Association for having us here today, and for the president and the people here for acknowledging the need for this at this particular time. So I hope this was helpful, and we'll be really humbled if a few of you at least practice these things and experience how it is for you. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Mr. Satish. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you on behalf. I think Sachitra has given on behalf of me also. I think. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Suchitra and Dr. Sumati Chandrasekharan. It was a wonderful deliberation on today's topic, I think, which has immensely helped most of our members who participated. Do we have a couple of minutes for 2 questions, if we could take it on? Just 2 questions.
Definitely.
One question was, please give example of what is thinking brain and emotional brain. This was by C.A. Rajkumar Jain.
Okay. See, when I was mentioning about the diagram, I think that is where you're asking. So when you say thinking brain is the frontal part of the brain, which we call it as only 5 to 10% it is occupied in a whole part of the brain, which we call it as a conscious brain also we can call it as a. So when you say thinking brain, it is an executive functioning where you think, you have more clarity, you have, as I told you, it's more about rational thinking. It's more about logical, it's more about problem solving, it's more about decision making. That is the frontal part of the brain, which you call. The remaining one, which was part of the brain where, apart from the lower, which is we call it as brain stem, not that one, the limbic system, that is the emotional brain. Which one is the where preoccupation of the feeling, which is called amygdala, I told, remember. That part of the brain, one process the emotions. Whatever we undergo, when we have a stimuli from outside, if you're going to, as I told you, how do you interpret, how do you give meaning? That moment the brain sends messages, to secrete cortisol. So if you say that, suppose you see a dog, two of you are walking. The one person who's already had an experience with a bad experience with a dog, he would interpret intimately and say, oh my God, what my dog will jump on me. But the other person will say, oh, what a lovely dog. So it's like you see the difference there. How they interpret only, it makes the brain to secrete the cortisol. So that is then the moment the cortisol secretes, the emotion brain gets very active, the thinking brain goes down, which is the frontal part. So what is important, both has to be integrated. There should be a balance, both has to be work together in coherent. That is why we call it the balance. So now I think makes clear whether which one you want to switch on, thinking brain or the emotional brain.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sumati. There's a next question. I would request Dr. Suchitra to take on, because when she was deliberating this question, we had a question from CA Siddharth Javali, who had asked, I have heard dark chocolates are good for health and increases some good chemicals. How true is it?
Yes, that is true. Dark chocolate, as in cocoa, in the purest form, is very good, and it activates all of these happy chemicals for you. So indulging in dark chocolates is good, provided we don't get purest form of cocoa. Purest form of cocoa is actually bitter. Okay, so having a dark chocolate that is 70% or above dark is good for your health. In moderation, again, it's good for heart health. It's good for increasing these happy hormones. And again, dark chocolate needs to be savored and had in moderation. So you can have like one small piece every day or when you're feeling low, and actually savor it. So dark chocolate is eaten slowly, with it like melting in your mouth. Again, notice the packet, it needs to be 70% or over. Most of the things we get here will be 50%, right? And it needs to have cocoa solids. Again, like I said, a lot of things are coming with preservatives and artificial things. So some chocolates that we get here will have vegetable fat. So we don't want vegetable fat, we want cocoa fat. So that's, there is a discretion. So thinking that something is good, we need not just blindly go buy a chocolate bar and start having, but be aware of what you're purchasing. And yes, dark chocolate is good. So if you're a lover of dark chocolate, research more into it, find out where you get nice pure forms, and enjoy.
Thank you, Dr. Suchitra. The last question for today, I think this question again goes to Dr. Suchitra, wherein CA Manikumar had asked, exposure to sunlight at any time in a day or any timing is fixed. That is the question. Do we need to expose ourselves to the sunlight?
So if possible, early morning, okay, sunrise is good. But if you're not a person who wakes up that early, it's okay to be in the sun at around 9:30, 10 a.m. So make it a habit to when you wake up, open your windows or pull open your curtains, so let the light into the house, and you can slowly walk up to your balcony or terrace and get some sunlight. Spend some 5-10 minutes there. All right. So mostly, this time would be ideal, like around after 10. That time is, somewhere everyone can be awake at that time. So, but if you're an early morning person, go watch the sunrise. But any time is good instead of no time at all. So it's okay to watch the sunset as well. Okay. But first thing in the morning when we are activating, all the serotonin, and you're getting all the good mood in the morning. And again, like I said, exposure to sun in the morning will actually ensure good sleep in the night. Because exposure to sun releases melatonin, which is required for sleep. Okay, so when melatonin is secreted at night after sunset, when you turn off all your screens and things, and when it's dark, melatonin kicks in, have better sleep.
Yeah, morning is better. Maybe 7 to 9 or 10, not more than that, I think. What you say.
Okay. Thanks a lot to both of you. Before we conclude, I would like to propose a formal vote of thanks to both Dr. Sumati Chandrasekaran and Dr. Suchitra. We wholeheartedly thank you for your beautiful presentation, and we hope that it has benefited all the participants of today's webinar. In specific, when Dr. Sumati Chandrasekaran spoke about stress, the situations or events that put pressure on us, how do we react to such situations under stress. That is beautifully explained. And she did also speak about how a mind plays in a human's body, a person's set of intellectual or mental faculties, which she explained so beautifully. So it is every cell in our body that the mind is actually connected. So she, in fact, very lucidly explained the benefits of the connection between the mind and the body. So she also did give us activities for our self-introspection. I think members did benefit from it. And she brought out nicely the psychological indicators a person goes through under stress. That was very interesting and very intrigued with so many examples that she had given. And the last one of the slides, she did help us in understanding how one could help someone in stress. So these were all the learnings from Dr. Sumati Chandrasekharan. As far as Dr. Suchitra is concerned, she spoke about the happy brain chemicals. Especially, she spoke about the serotonin in a body, which acts as the balance for your mood. It tries to bring out the exposure to the sunlight and the physical activities, and also did nicely explain about the lifestyle changes. And with lot of therapies and techniques in her armor, we really felt so nice because she gave us the activities, the stop technique, the freeze technique, the calm technique. These were all nice and soothing sessions. We once again thank you, both of you, Dr. Sumati Chandrasekharan and Dr. Suchitra, for giving such a wonderful deliberations. And we hope this is going to help members in the long run as well, and come out of this COVID situation at the earliest and have a balanced mental health in our life. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.